I love going to Moab, especially with friends. Last time we were here, Kurt and I were running the Suburban on Power Stop Brakes, Trail to Sema. From Pritchett Canyon to Moab Rim, there is no substitute for these wide-open public lands. This time, we're joining up with some Squarebody folk for this year's Blazer Bash trail run. It's an annual get-together and general hootenanny of the members of the CK5.com forum, of which I've been a long-time member. But like I said, Moab is best enjoyed with friends. So Kurt and I hooked up with our buddy Chris from Power Stop Brakes, loaded the Suburban and Toyota Crawler on the gooseneck, and pointed the whole rig west toward the Slick Rock. For each of us, Moab is a special place, and we enjoy every opportunity to get out there and be off the pavement. So the 1,000 miles separating it from Dallas passed quickly. We pulled into town the afternoon before the big group run, so we said a quick howdy to our friends at Dixie 4-Wheel Drive and unloaded the trailer. There was just enough light left to run an easy trail, so we aired down, locked the hubs, and hit it. Fins and Things is a great trail to run as a function check for your rig. It's short and easy, and is loaded with scenic vistas. All in all, just really good fun in 4-wheel drive. Now, it is also the first trail Kurt and I ran the Suburban on back in 2017, and if I had to guess, it's where he really started thinking seriously about setting himself up with a dedicated trail rig. It was a lot of fun to follow him around, because this Toyota Crawler of his, just flat out works. Also, there is something about the light out here, and it was the perfect chance to tell y'all a bit about these two dudes who are my very good friends.
Is this thing on?
So my name is Kurt. This is my truck. So I think this all started probably about 8 years ago when David invited me out to go rock crawling in some of the hill country of Texas. And then eventually he took me to Moab. And I think that was one of the first things that planted a seed, if you will, and made me start looking at, you know, if I was going to get one of these trucks, what does that look like? I've got older children, so my boys are 14 and 17. I didn't think I had enough time to build a rig. If you've watched David build his Charger, how long has that taken?
That's a low blow.
But and I know how many years he's got into that Suburban, so I kind of wanted to skip to the end, if you will, so I can enjoy the truck with my boys and teach them how to drive a standard. And of course I'm partial to Toyotas, and so after Trail to SEMA, when this guy right here came up, I just started reading through the list, and the seller of this rig had explained very clearly what he had done to it. It just checked all the boxes. So this one was the right price. What you're looking at is a 94 Toyota. So she has a Dana 60 in the front, Corporate 14 in the rear, 538 gears. It's got the Marlin crawler box. Linked. I mean, it's got all, suck down winch, front winch, boat sided, transfer case is lifted 24 inches, cab is cut, radiator in the back. It still needs work. I mean, if any one of y'all look closely, she has not been babied her whole life. So, that's all in time. I'm going to do this one piece at a time, as David would like to say. It runs great. It's handling the slick rock exceptionally well. This checks a big box. I think, this is Fins and Things. So this is David and I's first trail in Moab, 2017 Blazer Bash. It's not necessarily one of the hardest ones, but it was an iconic trail for me to kind of end the life cycle of wheeling with David for 8 years, spotting Big Chunky down there, and ultimately coming to Moab, and then coming back on Trail to SEMA and doing some of the hardest trails that Suburban's ever done. I'm happy to check off that first box, that first Fins and Things, the first trail, in Moab. Check it off in my own rig.
Kurt picked up a really good piece of gear, and I'm excited to see how it does over the next few days. I suspect it will dominate Hell's Revenge and Flatiron Mesa, and that its true test lies out in Pritchett Canyon. The morning came quickly, and we wasted no time hooking up with the rest of the Blazer Bash crew. There's always a general sense of anticipation at the first air down, and really that goes for old-timers and newcomers alike. Most of us haven't seen each other in at least a year, and we had several new members join for their first trail run. It was really just good to see everyone and catch up in person. And you know what? There must be a rule in nature. No two square bodies are alike.
You guys probably know Stephen Watson. Let me tell you what, time has really been kind to him as he built this K30, and a successful businessman in Colorado. Stephen, do you have anything you want to talk to the folks about?
It's awesome.
Yeah. What's the secret to your success?
Young living.
Young living. I like that, man.
Hell's Revenge is the iconic Moab trail, meandering over and around these massive petrified sand dunes. To this point, we've been working our way toward the first significant obstacle. Now, foolishly, I opted out of Hell's Gate in 2017, but I had no plans to repeat that error.
You made that look so easy.
And with the last rig up, we were off to the next gathering point. One of my favorite parts about Hell's Revenge is that you can safely test setups on your rig, from different low-range combinations to tire pressure. It's just a great spot to dial in your truck and get to know it. We worked our way toward the hot tubs, and like in years past, our friends at Off-Road Design put on a great show.
Good, Steven?
We got a lot of fuel coming out.
Oh, we got fuel.
Fire extinguisher.
This wasn't the only roll of the day, but it was the most serious.
Bring 3 or 4.
This crew comes together quickly to help a fellow wheeler, and while we all went to work getting the truck upright, ultimately one person runs the recovery show, and in this case, it was Brandon, Steven's brother. As for Steven, he situated himself in the truck and stopped that fuel spill. As he would tell you, only his pride is injured, and he's probably not far off, because that K-30 drove back to camp without a problem. Extracted and safe, we all loaded up and rolled on. The sun was starting to get low, and I needed to hustle back and take a look at my transfer case shifter. It had been giving me problems, and after a bit of diagnosis, we could see the shift lever on the case itself was rotating on the shaft and not fully actuating the shift rail. Fortunately, we have a friend in Dave at Extreme 4x4, located toward the south end of town. He was kind enough to let us do a quick repair in his shop.
You want more wire speed or anything?
Nope, that's perfect.
Okay. On fire?
2 heavy tacks, and we were ready for the next day's trail.
All right, so this is Flatiron Mesa. We're heading down into the trail. We got a nice motley crew, almost entirely squares. We're a welcoming bunch. Jeeps and Toyotas are also cool, and the people that drive them.
Now that is just a perfect segue to let Chris, my friend and co-driver, introduce himself.
Hello, neighbor. You're welcome for that. So my name is Chris Miller. I am the brand manager, social media manager, and motorsports coordinator at Power Stop Brakes. I came in to build, not only build a social presence, but build a community online. And I think in building that community, what we found is that the community wanted not only to see cool things, but to do cool things. And to be able to come out to an event like this and show people their first time on the trail, or take people out on my trip, Trail to SEMA, to places they've never been. Maybe throw them, straight to the wolves. Looking at you, Tiffany Stone. I would say I'm sorry, but I think you learned a lot going straight to Pritchett Canyon. I don't think you'd trade it for anything. And I'm out here for Blazer Bash. I've never come to a full-size event officially. I've kind of poked in on full-size Invasion a couple of times, but never enough to say I was a part. So when David asked me if I would come out, I said, absolutely, why don't we make some video? I'm out here on my behalf and on PowerStop's behalf to empower adventure. And that's what we're doing in David's Suburban and Kurt's reasonably fresh Toyota, which is pretty darn impressive. Moab is particularly special to me. It is some of the best wheeling in the country, but I think that plenty of people would argue that there is harder core wheeling around the country, and there absolutely is. There's places here in Utah like Sand Hollow that literally offer you, if you can imagine it, you can point your Jeep up it and do it. But when you leave the park, you're going back to Hurricane or to St. George, which are great places, but they don't have that special aura or feeling or vibe that Moab has. Moab is a small Main Street style town in the middle of the desert where nearly everybody is into the outdoors, whether they're hiking, climbing, biking, trail running. I don't get trail running. I don't get running at all. You don't go anywhere in a hurry. Motorcycles, side-by-sides, and then of course the Jeep and truck and buggy community that we're a part of. There's nowhere else in the country like Moab. Literally, there is nowhere else that gives you all the things that Moab gives you. And while it is not what I would consider the most hardcore wheeling I've done around the country, if I didn't come here every year, I'd be pretty damn sad. What we do at PowerStop, when we go to events, going out and doing things with people and helping empower people to do these kinds of things only helps to build a stronger bond between us as a company and to make it more human. PowerStop may be a corporation, but it's run by humans, and we're pretty passionate, to be quite blunt. You know, we like what we do, and we like to share what we do with everyone else.
Flatiron is another fun, moderate trail with only one significant obstacle, and it's optional. Everyone got to run it, from a bone stock Cup V Blazer to the Crawlabagos.
on the last trail that thing ever runs as a trail rig that I was not going to let you go up this.
I'll have to explain what he's talking about in a second.
This is the only really tough obstacle on this trail.
All right.
And yeah, I got both of you. And I gave you the good line.
You gave that was awesome. That was perfect. Thank you very
It was
much.
so good.
Let's do an OTF action.
OTF.
Yeah.
We do have to do a little catching up here because we got to go around the mountain.
Yeah. Trust your spotters.
And 3 less pounds in the tires, I would have crawled it. You were right. They're just a little high on the goods.
Yeah. That was pretty. That had a feeling to it.
It's awesome.
Good feeling.
I'll say it again. This is a good group of folks who understand that an off-road club is much more about the people in it than the trucks they drive. Two days in Moab will go by in a flash. And just when you think there are miles of trail still ahead for you to enjoy, you're actually less than 24 hours from leaving the whole place.
Hold those brakes real tight. Good. Now we're on the other side. Passenger. There you go.
With epic western landscapes surrounding you, it's easy to become attached.
What do you think, Dave?
Beautiful.
And no place like it, man.
Absolutely stunning out here.
But we all have to go home sometime. For us, it would be early the following morning. This trip doesn't happen without your friends and supporters. So thank you to Chris and the Power Stop team for supporting our trip out west, and as well to Wade and Mark and the rest of the CK5 crew for organizing the event itself. As well, thank you to the event sponsors. They're all listed in the description, so be sure to go take a look and support businesses that support the Squarebody off-road crowd.
I just didn't know if it'd be squishy. It's squishy with low tires.
Thank y'all for watching, and until next time, take care.